Welcome to Two Hearts Dance and Yoga Heart to Heart video series. My name is Leanne Barber, owner and movement creator at Two Hearts Dance and Yoga. And it's my pleasure to bring you some videos, some lights of inspiration to keep us going during this time. It's such an honor to have the man, the legend, here with me today, Justin Myles. He's always been an inspiration to me. Meeting him at his mom's studio, Gracie's Guides and Gals Dance Studio in Southern Maryland, where I grew up, to learning his choreography for competitions in between his dance travels and dancing with him on stage. Justin has been a true inspiration to me. He is a natural performer, dancer, and musician. Justin graduated from Point Park University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a BA degree in dance, majoring in ballet and jazz. He performed professionally in the off-Broadway show Tap Dogs, which made him a hometown hero for all of us tap dancers. He was a main stage singer and dancer, as well as a dance captain for Disney Cruise Lines, and continued his dance quest performing at Paramount's King's Dominion, Pittsburgh Playhouse Dance Company, and Busch Gardens Theme Park in Williamsburg, Virginia. He toured with the International Justin also writes and produces his own music with 2 albums and several singles available on iTunes. Currently, Justin travels nationwide and internationally conducting contemporary jazz workshops. He is one of the proud co-founders and directors of the JaM Project and the JaM Youth Project. You might recognize him and the JaM Project from being on the hit show World of Dance most recently. Justin is a true entertainer, and it's my pleasure to have him here with us today. Thanks, Justin. So good to have you.
Nice intro. I'm like blushing. It's this shirt, you know. Thank you for that lovely, lovely introduction, man. Thank you. It's good to see you. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to see you. Just before we get into things, where are you now, and how is all of this changing the world?
I am currently in Maryland, and this is where I usually reside. I'm from Mechanicsville, Maryland, as you know, and it's been kind of a whirlwind lately with the dance career and the music career, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of artists out there who are currently feeling the struggle as far as having no work, because the first thing to go was mass gatherings, and this includes like churches, concerts, baseball games, everything you can think of. And I mean, I know I'm repeating news that everybody already knows, but it hits home more for us because we are entertainers and we are artists. Yourself, myself, everybody watching on your channel, and for those who might not be artists and are kind of curious to or inquisitive to what it is and how it affects us, this is probably the biggest thing that has affected us. In my career, it has, and for a lot of my fellow artist friends. For me, like dance studios, dance conventions, they all just kind of stopped, like just halt, e-break, and it's a done deal. Yeah, so it's been a pinnacle move, but needless to say, I know that now, I know some of us are thinking like, well, what's the next step? And you know, virtual classes were the big thing to do, and as we spoke before, it's you know, at first it's still cycling, and people are still doing, and teachers and artists are still doing their live events and virtual classes, and that's the next best thing. But nothing will beat that in class. For the first time since everything has gone down, I taught class yesterday for 4 different classes, and each one was just amazing to get back into at my mom's studio, actually. And even the last class, I was just every class I said it to them, but the last class I was like, I don't think you guys realize how amazing it is to have you in class right now. And they just kind of stood at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, like, dude, like, this is like, you have no idea how awesome this is. It feels good
Yeah.
And
Energy.
it beats the heck out of trying to teach. I taught like a really long 32 bar. Maybe I went a little overboard, but it was like this riff combination with tap. I taught, it was really long. There's a lot of pattern. They got it really quick, which was awesome. But I was like, I even said to them, imagine if I had to break this down on video, I probably would have started over 10 times.
Yeah, I
edit,
mean,
edit, you know. Oh, but
it's
I'd rather teach live than virtual any day. I mean, that's just the way I am.
yeah, it's a totally different thing. Like you almost need that energy, like
Mm.
the energy to fill the room, to bounce off of. It's essential in what we do, and especially for someone like you who just like brings this energy and the intricate work you do. It's like you have to be there to feel it all, to feel the musicality, to feel, you know, where it's coming from the soul.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it felt, as I was teaching it, it felt natural again, you know. Like in the room, there's the echo of the tap sounds and there's something about the music coming off the speakers. You just miss all that.
But you know, you grew up dancing in your mom's dance studio, Gracie's Guys and Gals, which is also my beloved hometown studio.
Yes.
It seems so natural to you to continue with dance growing up there. But did you ever think that dance was not in the cards for you, or what are some of the early challenges you had with dancing?
I definitely had my doubts growing up and with the, you know, in and around the dance community. With a couple different with a couple different points. One we were, so Leanne and I are from St. Mary's County, so this is where we you know. And if anybody doesn't know what St. Mary's County is, it's kind of like it's a country town. It's kind of like good old boy mentality, especially when we were in the dance studio together, dancing and performing all around. We would do the county fairs and everything like that. It was not always in the cards for me. I think at one point I had difficulty trying to balance, or not even balance, trying to figure out uh, in the teenage years of being a male dancer and dance on top of being in a rural country like I am here, and that's just for me and being in St. Mary's. And when you meet other male dancers, especially when they're older too, they all kind of seem to have the same almost routine or journey, I should say, the journey of being in middle school and getting made fun of, or you know, kids have this. Kids can be mean, you know, getting bullied and picked on because you're A, different, and maybe like B, because you are dancing. And the thing for me is I love to perform. No matter what, I would jump at any opportunity to perform in front of a crowd. If it was like at the elementary school talent show or the middle school talent show, or even like the high school talent show. Um, and you always get the group that's going to be like, oh, that was awesome. And then you're going to get that group that's just going to see in the hallway and yell some really prejudiced stuff to you as you're just heading to reading class, you know. And that really that kind of took a toll for a while. And I mean, there's been times where, you know, I wanted to just not do it anymore, because what's the first thing you do? You hide, you clam up, you get into your turtle shell. You're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Maybe I will become maybe I will just pursue like soccer or football, or just be the norm. You know, that was the norm, especially around here. The norm was you're a boy, you do sports, and then that's it. But as I got into high school, I started to realize, and a friend of mine, Tony Canolis, I'll never forget this. It was after chorus practice. He was like, we were in course together, and he was just like, you got to be yourself, man. You just got to be who you are and not worry about what other people are, and do you. Play to your strengths. Like, just don't even worry about it. Brush it off. And it was that moment where I realized, okay, something's here. I need to do something different. So I ended up joining bands, staying in chorus, being in the jazz band, doing marching band, and doing dance. And the more I hung out with that group of people, the more it started to become easier for me to realize like the ugly duckling who like is now belongs to the to the posse, you know what I mean, to the family. And then that just kind of spawned off, and the more I just stayed true to myself, which was hard. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing, but the more I started to stay true to myself, and having that like group of friends that you knew had your back no matter what. I mean, it got easier and easier and easier. So then I saw a VHS tape show called Tap Dogs. I watched the show and I saw 6, like, you understand, as you know, like as a male in a dance studio and all this stuff going on, you're looking for that that affirmation. You're looking for that confirmation of like that assurance of like, what can this be possible? And then when I saw Tap Dogs, I saw like 6, you know, dudes on stage, blue collar, jeans, like flannels, stuff I was wearing at school on a daily basis. I was like, what? And they were smashing tap. They were smashing tap show. They were smashing like on a construction site. They were just going crazy. And I just had that, like, I couldn't stay in my seat. I was like, I have to be in the show no matter what it takes. And I tried and I tried and I tried. And then like, it just became one of those things where like, I ended up getting into the show later in life. But I think that really opened up my eyes. And then later I saw Stomp, and Stomp was almost like a similar palette of percussion. And like, I realized, oh, this could work. They're doing it, so why can't I, you know? And it was one of those things I just knew deep down inside it had to be a thing. It had to be a thing.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that with us, like that journey, you know, feeling like maybe you didn't belong somewhere, but then realizing that there are others, you know, in the game just like you, or, you know, trying to find your path. And it's not always clear cut.
Yeah, exactly. And something that my college professor said to me, Keisha, hey Keisha, she at one point said to us, realize that if you want something to do with your career, there's something out there for everybody. Yeah. If you want to be that star in the 42nd Street show, if you want to be that star in Lion King, go for it. But your journey to get there might take you this way. Your journey to that goal might take you this way. But the one thing that you can't do, I know it's going to sound cliche, is to just drop it and give up. Because who knows, if you want to be here, you might get there, but maybe like on the way on this path, you might end up doing something over here. You don't necessarily get what you want. You might end up getting what you need.
What led you to booking your very first dance role?
Oh, because when I was in high school, I auditioned for Tap Dogs in Buffalo, New York. I was 16, and I got a call back, and you probably remember that. And like every Thursday, I took Amtrak up to New York City. It was very bizarre. It was very bizarre, but very cool at the same time. But they told me I was too young to actually do it, so I ended up taking like Tap Dog school in New York City every week. It was bizarre, and then I ended up landing a Tap Dogs gig. They called later after this is when I was in Point Park, and then they ended up calling and asking like, would you want to be a part of the cast in like Reno, Nevada? And so I did a whole Reno run for a few months, and that's where I met one of my other good friends, Anthony Russo, and Chris Irk, and a bunch of other guys that I still keep in touch with.
I had the pleasure of seeing you take the stage with the renowned Tap Dogs and the impressive production of Stomp. You really seem to be in your element on those stages. What's it like performing at that high level, and what are some of the behind the scenes things you do to prepare for a show at that magnitude?
Thank you for that. Thank you for always being a supporter of seeing the shows. I always thought that was really cool of you to come out and do that. So that was awesome, man. It's always cool. See, Leanne's awesome, y'all. Don't let anybody else tell you differently.
Awesome.
She rocking. She rocking.
I just sat there.
You're just like, awesome. Yeah. Man, I can't explain it other than I love making any kind of beats or music with any kind of instrument, especially when it comes to tap shoes. And then Stomp, of course, when we're just the energy that exerts on the stage when we are just going in. Like there are 8 people on stage, just high power, intensity, making music. One of my favorite numbers from that show was called Brooms. It was the first number that like we came out and smashed at the very beginning. And I wish it, sometimes I wish that that number ended the show, because it's just like, to me, it was like, but I guess the way that writers and the producers wanted it, they just wanted to come out and like, boom, smack, and then off you go. But just the intensity of making all the different rhythms, and then being, for me, making the music, making the magic happen on stage with other performers, nothing beats that. Nothing beats that at all. I just love performing. I just love the feeling of projecting that energy onto the audience, and just seeing like half the crowd just doing this during a routine, like just bobbing that head, you know, that nothing beats that, you know. And that, I would walk off stage every night knowing that, like, if I can get at least one, even if it's just like grandma sitting in the second row, just like bobbing her head, and we're up there like just kind of like vamping on trash cans. I'm like, you're awesome. You're awesome. Yes, that was the ticket, you know, that is what I wanted to see. And the same thing happened during Tap Talk, same kind of premise. We come right out and we do something called drum beat, which I know you've learned. We did that a cappella routine, and that just the same thing, man. And then just the journey, just taking people on that journey, telling that story, telling the true tale of, like, this is what we can do with different surfaces on a construction site. And I guess the big all go off for me personally as a male in this world is the fact that, like, yeah, like I got to be a part of a show that like, it's a masculine show. It's a dope show, and it's appealing to everybody. It's appealing to everybody. Like, that's my payoff. So if you don't like it, leave me alone.
Exactly. That's awesome. And there's nothing,
Exactly.
there's like nothing like that energy. Like, I just remember coming to see Stomp, what was it, like maybe 2 years ago? Um, it's just like the production, the music, the lights, the scenery, the intensity that you guys bring to that. It's like so much energy. You guys are like dripping in sweat the whole time. It's so intense and so entertaining. And I love, you know, you have that kind of natural way of connecting with people on stage, and that was like your jam.
It was, man. I appreciate you saying that, because that was my bread and butter, man. I love it. I loved every second of it. And like, for someone like you who comes and sees the show, and you see that, you see all the elements of everything happening. You see all the cards being played at once, and you appreciate that beyond what like the normal person would appreciate. And that extends through the energy on stage too, to everybody else too. You know what I mean? It just happens like that, for sure.
It's magic for sure.
Mm.
It's great to see a group of all male tap dancers. Sometimes, even as a teacher, I see how it can be challenging for male dancers in the studio. Do you have any advice for young male dancers, in particularly, who are trying to start learning dance, or maybe are trying to break out on the performance scene?
Yeah, the best thing I can say, first of all, everyone's going to have their own journey, just like I had my own journey, just like you had your own journey. You just have to stay true to thyself. You have to stay true to yourself, because then you will find your path. You will absolutely get onto the path you are meant to be. You're going to get told no a lot. I was certainly told no a lot in my life. You know, wasting a whole day of traveling to New York to do a 20-second combination, to be told, see you later, you know, like, cool. And the thing I can do for me as like a male teacher is to just, you know, if the parents, sometimes I get pulled aside by the parents and say, you know, I think it would be better coming from you rather than me, to be like, hey man, how you doing? You know, I heard you got picked on at school, man. Don't worry about it. I got picked on too. As long as they know that, like, there's someone out there, maybe a male figure like myself that's older, that can be like, nah, man, you're cool, dude. Like, just remember, you're coming here every Tuesday to learn some tap. Boom, that's what's up, you know. And then they get that spike of like energy of everything's gonna be fine, and you know they get more confident, you know. But
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that message can apply for everyone. I think everyone
mm,
has a moment where you might have been singled out. I think, especially in the dance world, like you're forced to kind of look at yourself and reflect on things a lot. One, because there's literal mirror in front of you, but two, you
yeah,
two,
yeah,
you have
it,
people who are kind of, you know, your counterparts who maybe, you know, you see them dancing at a higher level, so you're trying to match their intensity, or maybe like you're dancing at too high of a intensity level and other people are trying to catch up to you. So I think it's always this place of like comparison, and unfortunately it just kind of happens in dance. And you know, I think your message, what you just said, can kind of go across all lines of, you know, anybody who feels that maybe they've been singled out, or trying to mesh with a group.
but in dance, I think it's a slightly different ball game because you are, like you said, you're trying to be better. I mean, yeah, you get that in like lacrosse and football and soccer, all, you can name it all. Uh, but there is a form of self self-reliance when it comes to being a dancer. It does go across all platforms for sure, especially in dance. We're kind of like the infantry of entertainment. We're on the front, you know, we're on
Yeah,
the front lines there, man.
exactly. It's like its own kind of thing, and no one really gets it until you're in it. I hate to say that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's its own thing. If you can tell me about the JaM project and how you guys even started from the beginning, because you know I've watched you for years and years, and then you were on World of Dance, and it was like, oh my God, I can't even tell you how excited I was. I like in my living room, like cheering. I had my dad watching it. We were all like going crazy for you. So tell me how that came about with the JaM project.
Oh man, thank you for that. So Mark Osborne and myself, we were childhood friends, and then we just kind of stayed in touch with each other. He did tap dance, I did tap dance. We would see each other all the time at like dance competitions. We reconnected later in life. I was still touring with Stomp, but it's like the late 2000s, before 2010, and we decided to like, hey, let's just like you and I, we'll come together, and how cool would it be if we just maybe choreograph some stuff. We'll start low key. We won't go crazy at first. Obviously, we want to see if it works. And we started to like bounce to different studios across Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, even as far up as New York, Pennsylvania. To they would hire us to come in, and we would set a piece or a tap piece or like a large group, and we did this for a couple of years, and it started to get to the point where um, we would go in for 3 days, and out of 3 days we would choreograph like 5 group routines, you know. And we did it because we loved it. We loved the energy that him and I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't necessarily just to make money. The money was obviously, if you're gonna work, you're gonna get paid for something you do. You gotta eat at the end of the day, right? But the thing that him and I really enjoyed the most, and we would walk away from situations, is just how much fun it was to be in each other's presence, and just the jokes, and the man, we were so passionate, and still are, about making something happen. You know, I can't tell you how much stuff we did for free just so we could get that ideal on stage. So pan a little bit later, we started to get these opportunities to perform at certain shows, like a tap show in DC, or a tap show at Joyce, or like a tap festival, or we just had these little opportunities pop up. So what better way to make something move forward is to hire other tap dancers. So we started to hire like other tap dancers that were close, and I have to give him props for that because he had more connections than I did. I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to really being a part of the tap community. So we would just start to pick up more tap dancers, and then we filmed. He had the idea of filming something, like doing a concept video. So the JaM project was taken off to that. We had a couple films made. Don't Hold the Wall was like one of the very first ones we did, which you can check out on JaM Project YouTube. Yeah, man, Don't Hold the Wall, dance. So we we did that, and then about a year and a half later, we did something called Gravity by John Mayer, which was a really cool concept film. And then a couple years later after that, we did another one, a long chain running, Doobie Brothers. We just had this weird, cool, unique approach of, I think we should use this song because I think it's different. You know, we just wanted to be different. And the diversity spoke for itself. We're all friends. We're all close friends. If anything, we all got closer because we did these videos. And then we performed at the Kennedy Center. Like 10 years later, we performed at the Kennedy Center with a show that we put together. What is it called? Good Times, Bad Times. Sorry. It was all kind of like different types of 70s rock and roll, and it was based around a Vietnam theme. You know, we touched on everything. We touched on racism. We touched on vets. We touched on psychological withdrawals, PTSD, drugs, like just the effects of everything culminated into one show. And we did a couple corporate gigs, and Mark's wife, Jen, also got very involved later with the JaM project. And then that's when the JYP, the JaM Youth Project, the pre-professional thing, mostly actually took off with Mark and Jen. So there was a joke there. It's like JaM means Justin and Mark, and then when it's like the JaM JYP, it's like Jen and Mark. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like we all just worked together, and it was a beautiful combination. And they're still doing more workshops and stuff. I've gone off the tour, and but they've kept that going, and that's always been a dream for Mark, to speak on his behalf, to have a company of himself to teach. He's always wanted to give, and he does give, and so does Jen. And you know, I'll go back and teach once in a while for the JYP, but I'm mostly on the JaM project side nowadays. And of course, like you said, we did World of Dance. You know, things started to happen. You know, we needed to take that journey to get there. It wasn't just like, let's put this group together and then let's smash World of Dance. Like it wasn't even a thought. You know, we wanted to create more than anything. And then we stayed the course. We created. And then little things just kind of, like I said, they'll just, if you just stay true to yourself, little things will pop in, you know, and you just can take those opportunities when you can, you know. So
awesome. Really, really
kind of like the Avengers, you know, like everyone has their all the guys and girls, you know, everyone that worked with the JaM project is out there doing their own thing, and then once in a while we would just come together and just smash something out. You know what I mean? So
that's so awesome. Really
pretty fun.
really cool watching you. How was it like auditioning for World of Dance?
World of Dance. It was a process. It was a live audition. To be completely honest, I missed the audition because I was on a gig somewhere, but they were able to audition with like 5 guys, and they promised like we will have a 6th guy. I think they knew with the paperwork and the resume that I was a part of like the actual co-founder, and that, okay, these guys are obviously working professional dancers and instructors. If this guy can't make it, it's fine. So I you know, props to my homeboys for doing it and getting us through. But the what I can say is I was there for the taping and the rehearsals and the whole like breakdown. It was long days. It was very long days. If anybody is never or is trying to get into maybe touching into TV production, it can be very gruesome with the hours and the times that you spend on set. I mean, imagine us when you're doing these video interviews, and it's amazing. Or if you're setting up your online class, all the work that goes into that, and that's one person. And I know there's times you're like, whew, I gotta plug this in, I gotta make sure this is this and this. Now multiply that on like NBC level, and you have like hundreds of people. It's just, TV is, there's a joke in the entertainment business called TV, hurry up and wait, because you're just always like, what's next, and you know. But the experience of it was phenomenal.
It's like a plug for you. Everyone needs to go check out the videos from World of Dance. You guys need to check out all these videos he's talking about, all the things that JaM Project has done, because they are just amazing. So check it out, people.
Come check it out. Yeah, really check it out. Check it out, man. Appreciate the plug. NBC, and then you can go to World of Dance. So I think it's on there.
Yeah, it is, because I've watched it a couple times.
You're like, I watched it. I took some notes.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Thank you.
Tap is all about rhythm and musicality. Tell us how being a musician has had an influence on your dancing and vice versa.
It has had a lot of influence. In like the 2000s is when I really started to really dig deep into doing choreography and being asked to do it. I'll never forget when I was asked to do choreography. I was like, oh, what? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Tap Dogs had a lot of influence. And then being a musician has also had a lot of influence. And I noticed some of the choreography, and this took years, but it's almost like my phrasing, and this is what I've been told, the phrasing makes sense. It's not just, okay, let's just glue a bunch of tap rhythms together. It does kind of get to that point, and I've been told by like other tap instructors at like tap festivals, and like your phrasing is just so easy to chew. It's easy to digest. There's the word I'm looking for. A lot of it has to do with playing drums. I think a lot of it has to do with that easy phrasing, you know. And then once in a while you can throw in these really fancy, you know, fills. But I also want the audience to feel it too, you know. Is seeing a lot of dance competition choreography and just being like, man, that's impressive. That's really impressive. But what are you saying? Like, what are you really saying with your feet? What are you really saying with your soul?
That's behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the initiative? Where's it coming from? You know, because there's some, man, there are some talented musicians out there. There are some talented tap dancers, all kinds of awesome, super talented. Oh my God. Like, wow, you're amazing. But what are you saying? What is it that what's speaking from your heart, you know, to pertain to, okay, so to go to like an analogy, a metaphor. It's like, and I've taken a lot of yoga classes in my life, and you'll appreciate this. I think you might know where I'm going with this. It's like it's the person that shows up to yoga just to show off. Like they're super flexible and they can do all the things, but they're there for the wrong reason. They're not there to like,
it's like, that's not what it's about. Like, that's not what it's about.
no, you just there to like show off your new Lululemons and like, like, man, you're just there for the wrong. Appreciate. I've heard, and I've taken yoga all over this country, especially in New York City when I was living there. Like, it was one New York City in Astoria. I was there and I was pushing myself. I was like, like I wanted to. The dancer in me was like, I have to. And I think at one point she came over and was just like, you can like relax, just breathe through it. Like yeah. And after she pointed at my chest, he's like, why are you here? So that's kind of, yeah, it's fun to dance and it's from your heart, but are you really speaking from your heart? Are you really speaking from your heart?
No, yeah. That's the perfect analogy. And I tell this to my dancers all the time. You know, the reason why you enjoy someone on stage is because they're having a good time and they're showing their emotion and they're showing their feeling. It's not about the steps. It's about what you can show and what you're bringing with your soul. So I totally understand all of that. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah, man. It is for something about your group. And even my mom talks about it to this day. She's just like, there's something about that group that just, you can tell they were genuinely having a good time on stage. It's, you know, it's something that you just have to, that's one thing. I don't know if you can teach it or if it just comes naturally. You know, I just don't know.
Yeah, I totally understand that, man. And lastly, Justin, I love how you still come back to Gracie's Guys and Gals, your mom's studio, to work with the kids and set pieces for competitions and recitals. Do you see yourself carrying out that legacy with the studio, or what's kind of in the future, you know, way down the road for you?
That's a good question. I think I will always be a part of teaching no matter what I decide to do. And I mean, I'm not getting any younger, but at the same time, there are things and avenues that I am still pursuing as far as um, my career goes. I think it will always be a part of the studio, no matter what. If I do decide to take over, if I don't decide to take over, if somebody else wants to take over, I think there's going to be some kind of connection to be always be a part of that legacy, for sure. I certainly don't want to see it go completely away and change over and all that stuff. The thing about me is I'm such a 100% true, honest artist. And this is a conversation I've had with myself multiple times. I'm such a creator. I need to always create, 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 create. Um, and the business side of it is probably the hardest part. And as you know, that as a business owner, myself as a business owner, it's, you know, sometimes the easiest part is actually doing what you love to do, you know. And a lot of people don't realize that sometimes that can be 5-10% of the whole 100% pie of what we do in our lives, right? So it's something that, you know, it's going to be a tough choice to be able to have to dive into something like that, because I know that I would be giving up a lot of my go-to creative senses. You know, I'm still going to create, I'm still teaching and all that stuff, but it's something that, you know, is the balance going to be there? You know, is the balance going to be fulfilling? Because we all need to have that our plant watered. You know what I mean? You can't just, a plant needs water, you know, or a tree needs water. You can't just expect to just give oxygen and not get anything back. You know, like you gotta, there's got to be some kind of balance and give at some point.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
things will pan out the way that they're supposed to, and things will present themselves in the way that are meant to be. Um,
Yeah.
it's just wonderful to see you, you know, still doing all the things that you're passionate about, whether it's being on stage, whether it's singing and doing a virtual concert, which you did a couple weeks ago, whether it's, you know, coming back to teach at your mom's studio, or, you know, traveling and teaching. You're doing all of these things that you're super passionate about, and it's just very inspiring to me and everyone around you. So
Thank
thank
you for that.
taking the time to sit down with us. It's truly my honor to have you here. I tell you this all the time, you've always been someone who I idolize, and you're just so kind, and you're just a great friend as well. So thank you so much for all that you do and continuing to keep tap dance alive. I know that's another thing. Tap is, I feel like sometimes it can be kind of like a lost art in some areas. Um, and thank you so much for making it cool, making it fun.
I'm trying. I'm a part of a bigger vessel. I'm trying to keep it going and keep it alive and known, you know, the best I can. I'm a small beacon in a very big world, so of tap dance, that is. So, uh, but I appreciate your kind words. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it, man. It's been an honor too. It's
Absolutely.
hard not to smile around Leanne. It's anybody can attest to that.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you. Keep in touch. Where can people learn more about you and kind of follow your journey, become a fan like I have over all these years?
No, it's super easy. I think the best is uh, Facebook, of course. If you just go to facebook.com/ Justin Myles Music, MYLES MUS, Instagram, and I usually try to post. I am post shy. I'm a shyer. I get shy and bashful when I post stuff. It's like I should get more. I get inspired by you because you're just like, this is what's happening and we're gonna do it. You know. And I'm like, well, maybe I could just post more of like, even if it's like a 2 count riff I do on the drums, you know. But to me, I'm like, is that showing off? Like back to that thing we talked about earlier. You're like, no, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. So yeah, just do it, man. Sometimes for me, even now, I can't get past that whole like, am I showing off, you know? So yeah, Instagram, Facebook, check it out. Maybe after this, I think I'm more inspired to actually do more stuff, you know, post more stuff. Yay!
Awesome. Well, we can't wait. And I will definitely be checking out any tap combinations that you have to put up. I'll learn them. I always pass them on to my dad too. It's a challenge for us.
Yeah, my.
Can't move that fast anymore. But
Oh,
for all you do, and take care. Keep in touch. All the good things.
much love. Thank you so much, Leanne. Appreciate it.